All right, everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video with Fat Phil, and today we are going to be talking about me going up against one of the largest accounts in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes in Grand Arena. I'm going to talk about why I think this is a good thing and actually go into a little bit more of how I think it's happening, because it is important to understand with this new Grand Arena formula, how is it impacting players, and I can tell you right now, I'm feeling the impact, and it's a good thing. So let's go in here, first and foremost, and thank my channel members so much for all their continued support. If you're interested in joining, that link is down below. That will guarantee you a roster review if you were on stream for the special stream I'm going to be doing Friday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, to support the rehab center my daughter currently attends. So make sure you guys like and subscribe, comment down below, and stay tuned for more news on that live stream. So let's go into the Grand Arena here, and I am going up against Zoe Fett. Zoe Fett is in Maw Chromium, and they have 14 million galactic power. Let me say that one more time. 14 million galactic power. I mean, this is so crazy. This is awesome. Like, what a crazy matchup. What a amazing opportunity just to see how insane this account is. So let's go in here in the game first. Obviously, he's got Leia. So the first full page is all Relic 9 characters. All the Galactic Legends, all these characters are all Relic 9. Just let that sink in there. I mean, it is crazy. As I look through this account, you keep going down, we have not yet hit a Relic 8 character. So far, going through this list, we have not hit a Relic 8 character, right? Let's see when we find our first one. There it is. C-3PO is the first Relic 8 character. This is so cool. When you flip over this way, everybody's at least Relic 7. And I'll show you guys the actual stats. And then, I mean, look at that. It doesn't take long before we start hitting Relic 8s. So, what an unbelievable account. Like, this is actually awesome to see this. And it gives you guys just some perspective on what accounts at the top end of the game look like. Let's just take a look at Ugnaught here. Look at this. Ugnaught even has mods. 136 speed on Ugnaught, guys. That is incredible. I have, top tier characters that aren't that fast. This is amazing. Wow. Oh my gosh. So, obviously the Datacrons, you guys can see, just Relic, full level Datacrons all the way across the board. So, anyway, why is this a good thing, though, right? Why is it a good thing that I'm doing this? And also, Phil, how do you know it's the 8th largest account? Well, just to show you the proof, when we go to the screen capture here on Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes.gg, top players by galactic power, you guys can see right here, number 8, Zoe Fett, Maw Chromium. That matches what we have in-game. The big thing I want to say here, Maw Chromium is the largest guild in Galaxy of Heroes. This player probably in Kyber 2 is here because they probably focus more on territory wars. They probably have all the tools they want for GAC, but they spend more of their time worrying about territory wars. I know plenty of players at the top end of the game where that's what they worry about, is the territory wars. It's very, very rare for that top guild of Maw Chromium to really have players who are solely focused on Grand Arena. A lot of them are heavily focused into territory wars because that's what they care about as a guild. So my gut assumption with this player is that he's probably on his way up with this new matchmaking, that the matchmaking's pushing him into Kyber 1. They're trying to expand it, and this is the first step. This is the first group of players who's going to get there, are the players who should be there simply by roster size. That regardless of if this player, tries or not in GAC, he should be in Kyber 1 because of just how insanely massive this account is. Just to show you the compare between Zoe Fett and myself in terms of comparing our rosters here. So the 10 million versus 14, right? I want to show, look at the Zetas, 327 Zetas. He's got 84 Omicrons to my 26. He has 44 Grand Arena Omicrons. I have 26 Omicrons total. I mean, it's so cool. Obviously, speed advantage is real. Look at that, 30 plus more speed than me across my top 80. And my top 80 is almost as good as his Gear 11 plus average, right? Just his total average. That's just bonkers amazing. Obviously, everybody is Relic in his account. When we go down to the mods here, 1,500 6 dots versus my 500. Again, I'm winning in a category, the 10 to 14 speed, which is not the category I would want to be winning in. That's just, yeah. It's not a pleasant category to be winning in by any stretch of the imagination. What a, fantastic account here. In terms of Relic levels, as you guys can see, nobody below Relic 7. 82 Relic 9s, 148 Relic 8s. I have more Relic 7s than him because everybody else is Relic 8 or 9. Again, this is at the top level of the game. This is what you can expect is accounts. Now, obviously, this is a top 8 account in the game. But this is giving you guys perspective just into that. Like, obviously, this guy is spending money. I don't know how much, but he's obviously spending money. And that's not a bad thing. I'm not bashing that at all. I'm actually, like, again, he's one of the players that, like, Capital Games is looking at as, like, supporting this game financially. You know, if he stopped spending, they would notice. As we get into the Datacrons, 310 rerolls, 60 level 9 Datacrons. Going through the Galactic Legends here, you can just see, pretty good stats all the way around. I've got a couple where it's like, oh, I got a little bit more health on my Lord Vader, like, and more tenacity, but he's got more of everything else. So, yeah, he's got all the toys, right? This is just, this is absolutely nuts, right? So, why am I saying, though, that the matchmaking's working? Well, if I flip back over to the game, right, and I just say, like, how is the matchmaking working? Remember, they said that they want to push players away from, push players into Kyber 1. They want to expand Kyber 1. So, by taking somebody like Zoe Fett here, who's, again, 8th largest player in Galaxy of Heroes against me, I want to say that I'm going to, like, brag about that for, like, the rest of my time in Galaxy of Heroes, that I got to play against, like, the 8th. So, like, dude, I'm going to, like, 1,000% reach out. I don't know if he'll respond, but I'm just going to say, like, dude, this, like, you're awesome, and I'm jealous of you in every way. But pushing him into Kyber 1 is good for the game. And let me explain why that is. If this is a player who's kind of wishy-washy about playing Grand Arena because they're much more focused in Territory Wars, what they're probably doing is they win some, and then they're like, oh, you know what, like, this guy's probably just as good as me. I don't really care. Like, I'm just going to, lose, right? They're pushing him back into Kyber 1. They're taking him away from Kyber 2. So taking that player out of Kyber 2, moving them to Kyber 1. Now that leaves more space in Kyber 2 for players, say, like myself. Right? That, okay, Kyber 2 can now fill, like, we filled Kyber 1 with all the people who deserve to be Kyber 1. Now we're going to fill Kyber 2 with all the people who deserve to be in Kyber 2. And then Kyber 3, right? That it's going to kind of fill up that way, I think. That, at least in the section of Kyber, I think that what's going to happen is that your, like, Kyber 1 will fill up, is going to fill up, because what's going to happen is everybody from, say, Erodi, the lower levels of Kyber, going to be climbing this way, right? So, like, your Kyber 5 and Erodium 1, I think, are going to be this firestorm of people as they start kind of moving up and down between those as you get people climbing further and further up, being pushed by this new matchmaking equation. What I'm very curious on with this new matchmaking equation is if galactic power is going to play a role. When they originally set, not edit defense, not that it matters. I could tell this guy, everything I'm going to do. He could tell me everything he's going to do defensively. I'd still lose. Anyway, the old matchmaking system, when it first started, when they first went with this Grand Arena change, they put you into, whatever place you belonged based on your galactic power. So I'm curious if this new equation is going to take your galactic power into account to ensure that you can't fall below a certain threshold simply because of your GP. So I think it is good, and I think this is proof that it's working, because it's pushing a guy with a lot of galactic power where they belong in Kyber 1. And then for, like, myself even, right, just to show you a little bit, my skill rating at 3561 is I think that's one of the higher ones I've ever got to. I think this is one of the closest numbers I've ever been to Kyber 1. And normally, I would lose far before I would get to this level. Now I'm here at this level. I don't know if I'll go 0-3. I don't know if I'll go 1-2. I'm definitely not going 3-0, and I'm definitely probably not going 2-1. But it's proof that the system's working, that these players who are far superior are getting pushed towards Kyber 1, while someone like myself, they're like, hey, Phil, you're probably a Kyber 2 level player. Or you're Kyber 1, Phil, but you're not Kyber 1 like, Zoe Fett is Kyber 1. Right? You're not Kyber 1 like this guy. So the system is working, and I think this is proof of it. I think you're going to see matchups like this where there's going to be players that you're like, man, I have no business playing against this guy, like we saw before. But the difference now is that they're forcing them up. They're forcing them up. They're trying to get them into that Kyber 1 level. What you have to recognize about Kyber 1, for someone like what I would assume this guy's went through, was if he didn't play some GACs because he's too focused on Territory Wars or his Conquest or something else, and he's like, I don't care about GAC, right? he's going to fall out of it simply because other guys are going to play against him. And then he's also going to encounter players who are probably just as good as him. Maybe they even have a little bit more skill. They might not have as big of a roster, but, they can overcome that. Like a guy like Arnold, who doesn't have as large of a roster, but can beat a lot of players. He was falling simply because the old system was constantly knocking him down, and then if he wasn't playing a GAC, right, he would go down. So I think this new one, it's working, and I think this is proof of it right here. Getting this guy out of Kyber 2, pushing him into Kyber 1, and allowing other players to kind of fill those spaces that are now opening, that Kyber 1 is taking people, opening up spots in Kyber 2, and that's going to open up spots everywhere else in the game. So you guys let me know what your thoughts are on, like, if you're seeing matchups like this and if you think it's going to be good for you. Because I think what they're going to try and do is each of these areas is going to kind of go through, like, a reckoning where there's going to be people kind of climbing up simply because they're getting pushed to a higher level. And then it's going to start right-sizing, and you're going to get more consistent Grand Arenas that hopefully are much more winnable for you. And that, as I've kind of said before, I get these Grand Arenas where the three kinds, right? I get one that's boring because I'm up against somebody like this that I just have no chance of winning. I get the boring ones because I've fallen too far, right? I climbed up too high, and I'm going to go 0-3. I went 0-3, fell down too far, and now I'm facing people that it's boring for me. And then the other kind of GAC, the one that I'd say I get the least often, is the awesome matchups, the ones that's really cool, that's really competitive. I think they want more of those. I think they want more people interacting with GAC. Like this Grand Arena, I'm going to play like a single battle and I'm just going to forfeit. Or like I'm going to play a single battle and that's it. I don't know that I would do more than that just because, like, what's the point, right? And Capital Games doesn't want that. They want me playing as much GAC as possible. So very curious to see. I'm going to message him. I'm not going to be like, hey, don't set a defense because, like, that's just stupid. Like, I don't want him in Kyber 2 anymore. And I don't think he wants Kyber 2 anymore. So anyway, guys, that is just my thoughts on facing the 8th largest player in this game. What an awesome account. Zoe Fett, shout out to you. Shout out to your guild for just being absolutely, like, unbelievably awesome at, obviously you're good at swiping credit cards if we're all honest, but to have the dedication to play this game for as long as you guys have takes a lot of, like, it takes dedication and it takes commitment, and we thank you for it because players like you are the reason why so many of us are able to enjoy this game without having to spend money or without having to spend egregious amounts of money. So we really do, I wholeheartedly appreciate what you and your guild do for this game. You guys in a way, you guys are the milestones that Capital Games is measuring to see, hey, when do we need to release new content? You guys are the ones dictating that. So thank you again. Looking forward to see how many points you score on my defense, and looking forward to just how incredibly awesome your datacrons are. So that's the end of the video, guys. Let me know your thoughts. Like, subscribe, comment. Love all you. May the force be with you, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.